My name is Emma, and I came from a family where love, tolerance, understanding, and kindness prevailed. In short, I grew up in a healthy and positive environment. I am not used to a home where insults, bullying, and shaming are normalized. My parents made sure that I am always disciplined and scolded gently and with respect. And because of that, I took pride in how my parents raised me. They molded me to become who I am today, patient and calm. Also, I grew up in a complete family and it made me feel secure and loved throughout my life. So when I met my husband James right after college, I got culture shock by how terrible his family treated him. I became aware of the abuse and mistreatment of his mother towards him. It was so awful and cruel because his mother disowned him at the age of 16, and since then he worked his ass off just to sustain his studies and daily living expenses. Because of that, my parents were so loving and appreciative towards him. Ever since we started dating, my parents became his parents as well. They would take care of him and treat him as their own. And throughout our dating years, I never let him feel neglected and rejected because I want him to feel all the love and care that my parents filled me with because he deserved that so much. On top of that, James is a responsible, smart, and hardworking person. He managed to graduate college with flying colors and even landed a job as early as 3 days right after he graduated. Now he's a senior solutions architect in a multi-dollar company. I was very fortunate to be in a wealthy and comfortable family. They were able to sustain my academics, but that doesn't stop me from working hard as well. And now, just like my husband, I am also successful in my field as a nurse. We dated for almost 4 years, and I can truly testify that our relationship was healthy and very happy. And after that, we decided to get married. We settled in a house gifted by my uncle, my father's cousin, to him. They are very close, and because my father wanted to honor him, he gave it to me as our new home. I never met my uncle, but my parents told me that he was very wealthy. He was the one that helped us with our family business. I wish James and I would meet him someday so that we can thank him personally. I just knew that his name was Arnold Vera. Now, we have been married for 2 years and we were expecting a baby girl soon. Our marriage was light and cozy. Everything seemed perfect. Whenever we fight, we immediately do everything to resolve the conflict. But there are times that James would sink into depression because his mother would still torment him. She never failed to remind him of how unlucky she was to have him as her son. She would insult him now and then, and what is much worse, after she insulted him, she would ask for money. It pains me to see James, a very humble and kind man, be mistreated by his mother. She is heartless. I hated her so much that there were times when I wanted to talk back to her, but James would always stop me from doing so. I have never been one to take revenge, but the way my mother-in-law Alina treated my husband pushed me beyond my limits. Our lives were marred by her favoritism, greed, and heartless actions. It all began with Alina's bitter resentment towards my husband James. She blamed him for derailing her nursing career when she became pregnant with him at a young age. I wanted to shout at her and tell her that it is not James's fault just because she failed to achieve her dreams. It is unfair to blame it on someone completely innocent and just wanted to be loved and appreciated by his mother. Alina never stood as a mother to him. She abandoned and neglected him all his life, and I'm here to change that. Just like what I have said, my husband began to work hard for himself when he was 18. His mother never supported him and even bullied him for years. Until Alina decided to get married, this resentment grew over the years and manifested in her doting on her younger son, my husband's half-brother, as though he were her savior. She believed he brought her luck because his father, her second husband, was wealthy. I could sense she was only using her new husband's money, as she acted so much like a gold digger. Moreover, Alina was never one to hide her disdain for me. From the moment James and I started dating, she made it abundantly clear that I was not the woman she envisioned for her son. She wanted someone who could elevate James's status, someone who could further her agenda, but we were young and love had a way of binding us to the troubles ahead. I think the hatred she has towards me is due to her insecurities. She always wanted to be a nurse, and I'm a registered nurse and am currently practicing my profession. I think she hates me because she's jealous of me. She resented me and my husband for it even more. What's more painful is that she would always shove it in James's face that Pete is the one she loves and appreciates the most. Aside from that, Alina favored my husband's half-brother Pete more because she thinks that Pete brings all the luck to her. As time passed, I witnessed the stark contrast between how Alina treated James and his younger half-brother. Her favoritism was evident to anyone who cared to look. She doted on her other son, showering him with gifts and attention while treating James with coldness and contempt. It was as if she blamed him for the life she couldn't have due to an unplanned pregnancy. I could still remember a very heartbreaking scene at a family gathering. We were at the dinner. It was just me, my husband, Alina, and Pete. Her husband was not present because he was out on a business trip. I have never seen him yet. "Oh, Pete, my shining star, your father would have been so proud of you if he were still here." As she said those words, she patted Pete's head. Then Pete let out a self-satisfied grin.
"Of course, Mom. I've always known that I was the favorite."
I looked at my husband and he was so uncomfortable, and the atmosphere was so awkward. His mother never appreciated and affirmed him the way she did to Pete, so I held his hand and rubbed it gently and talked to him in a soft voice. "My love, you did a fantastic job at work today. Your dedication is commendable." Alina scoffed and rolled her eyes. "Commendable? I don't see why. He's just holding on to a mediocre job. He's useless. Just look at him."
"Mediocre is right. James, you're just not cut out for success like I am."
Pete laughed mockingly and Alina joined him.
It's not about competition, Pete. I'm happy with where I am."
"Stop it, Pete. Your arrogance is unbearable." Alina scoffed and rolled her eyes at me. "Oh, come on, Emma. Can't you handle the truth? James is nothing compared to Pete."
"I have had enough of this, Mom. Why can't you ever appreciate what I do? You never said any good thing to me since I was young. You hated me all my life. I've never done anything bad to you. Why are you like this?"
Alina just smirked at him. "Well, you ruined my life." Pete also smirked and insulted him once again.
"Because there's nothing to appreciate, James. You're just a disappointment."
"That's not true. James works hard and is a kind and caring person. He deserves respect. He doesn't deserve all of you." "Respect has to be earned, Emma, and James hasn't earned it."
"I am done trying to earn your approval, Mom. I've spent my whole life seeking it, but I won't anymore." "Oh, look at you, trying to stand up for yourself. It's pathetic."
I wanted to hurt Pete so badly, but I control myself. "That's enough, Pete. You and your mother are toxic, and you take pleasure in tearing James down." "How dare you speak to us like that, Emma? And how dare you treat James this way? He's your family, and you treat him like he's beneath you." I saw the tears falling from my husband's eyes.
"I have had enough of your cruelty, Mom. Pete, I won't allow you to belittle me anymore." "Good luck trying to stand up to us, brother. You're a coward anyway." "I don't need luck. I have self-respect, something you both lack."
After that scene, we flew out, and we never show our faces to them because our lives are better without them belittling us. As I reflect on the tumultuous events that unfolded in our lives, I can't help but remember the simpler times when James and I first fell in love. Our love was pure and unshaken, but the looming presence of his mother and spoiled and arrogant brother always cast a shadow on our happiness. James bore the weight of his mother's bitterness with remarkable resilience, but it took a toll on him. He longed for her approval, but it seemed forever out of reach. Despite everything, he remained kind-hearted, trying to mend broken relationships with his mother. But things took a darker turn after Alina's husband, James's stepfather, passed away. With his wealth now under her control, Alina's true nature was unleashed. She was already bad, but now she became worse. The grief over her husband's death seemed to fade quickly, replaced by a thirst for power and control. She got all of his money and influence, and I'm afraid that she will use her newfound wealth against us. Her behavior became increasingly ruthless as she flaunted her newly acquired fortune, and the worst thing did happen. One day she came rushing to our home and took over everything. They took over. I was pregnant at that time, and Alina dragged me out of my bed while Pete punched James and pushed him out of our house helplessly. We watched powerlessly as she manipulated the situation to force us out of our family home. It was a gut-wrenching blow, realizing that someone we once thought of as family could stoop so low. When her husband passed away, Alina's true color emerged. She reveled in her newfound wealth and power, feeling superior to everyone, including us. It wasn't long before she decided to seize control of our family home, the one my father had inherited from his cousin. The day we were forced to leave our home was heartrending. As we walked away, I clutched James's heart, promising him that we would find a way to make things right. I held my womb and prayed that one day the tables will turn and karma will find its way to them.
This house is ours now, so leave. I don't want to see the two of you messing around our new house.
I was taken aback by what she said. Her new home? This is a gift from my uncle. You have no right to claim this. My uncle gave this house to us. Pete just laughed and showed me a will, and my eyes widened as I read a familiar name, Andrew Vera.
My father owns this house.
And Andrew Vera? Your father is Andrew Vera?
Yes, and what about it? He is dead and I will have all of his money and property now. I'm a millionaire and all of you peasants will bow down to me. So get out of here because I'm reclaiming what is mine.
My uncle is Andrew Vera. They both laughed as if I said a joke, but I just gave them a smirk and stern look that made them feel uncomfortable. They went silent. I stood up. Then my husband. You will have the house, but vengeance will be ours. After I said that, the both of us walked away. I couldn't believe that my uncle is Alina's husband. I now have the upper hand. Alina had no qualms about evicting us from our own home, leaving us devastated and homeless. Her actions were driven by a twisted sense of entitlement and greed, fueled by the belief that money could buy her happiness and respect. But I refused to be defeated. I couldn't stand idly by as she trampled on the lives of those I loved. My father had once told me stories of his kind-hearted cousin, my uncle, who had been generous and caring to his family. I was determined to expose Alina's deceit and cruelty. I had always been close to my father, and he often shared stories of his relatives. Among them was his cousin, my uncle, whom I had never met. As I began to dig deeper into my uncle's past, the pieces started to fall into place. The shock and anger that washed over me upon discovering how Alina had misused the funds meant for my uncle's medical care was indescribable. Digging deeper into my uncle's affair, I uncovered the shocking truth. Alina had used all the money meant for my uncle's medical medical expenses for her benefit. She had let him suffer, prioritizing her materialistic desires over his well-being. The revelation sickened me to my core, and I knew I had to act. My determination to seek justice grew stronger with each revelation. Gathering evidence, I meticulously built a case against Alina, one that would expose her for the gold digger she truly was. I sought help from friends, some of whom had also been affected by Alina's deceitful ways, and together we pieced the puzzle of her cruel intentions. I gathered all the evidence and shared it with my family and friends, exposing Alina as the gold digger she truly was. The community was appalled by her actions, and even some of her allies turned against her. The truth spread like wildfire, and eventually the law took notice. Summoned to court, Alina faced the consequences of her wicked deeds. The trial was intense, with the evidence overwhelmingly condemning her. Her facade crumbled, and she was unable to escape the truth. It was both gratifying and heartbreaking to see her face the repercussions of her actions. As the day of the trial approached, I couldn't help but feel a mix of anxiety and hope. This was not just about revenge, it was about righting the wrongs, bringing closure to the pain inflicted upon our family, and ensuring that Alina couldn't hurt anyone else. In the courtroom, emotions ran high as the evidence unfolded, revealing Alina's true colors to everyone present. Her attempts to maintain a facade of innocence crumbled under the weight of undeniable proof. The room held its breath as the judge pronounced the verdict, and a sense of vindication washed over me when justice was finally served. Alina's actions had consequences, and she faced the wrath of the law. As she was led away, her arrogance replaced by humiliation, I knew that our lives would never be the same. While the bitter taste of revenge was momentarily satisfying, it was the triumph of truth and justice prevailing that brought a sense of closure to our troubled past. As we returned to our family home, I couldn't help but be grateful for the strength of love and resilience that had carried us through the storm. While the scars of Alina's actions would never fully fade, they reminded us of the battles we had fought and won together. Through it all, I learned the power of standing up for what is right and the importance of forgiveness, not just for those who wronged us, but for ourselves. We emerged from the darkness stronger, wiser, and with a renewed appreciation for the precious bonds of family and the resilience of love. The court ruled in favor of justice, and Alina was handed a punishment fitting for her crimes. She was forced to face the consequences of her greed and heartlessness. The house she had seized from us was returned to our family, and she was ordered to pay restitution for her misdeeds. In the end, the revenge I sought wasn't just about humiliating Alina, it was about seeking justice for my husband, brother, and all the lives she had disrupted. Her actions had torn families apart, and now she had to reckon with the pain she had caused. As the dust settled, I realized that vengeance alone wasn't the answer. While Alina faced the consequences of her actions, I chose to focus on rebuilding our lives, strengthening our bonds, and ensuring that the scars left by her cruelty would heal with time. Life moved on, and we learned to cherish the love we had for one another. I understood that revenge might have given a fleeting sense of satisfaction, but true healing came from forgiveness and rising above the darkness that had clouded our lives. Though the wounds of the past remained, we emerged stronger, wiser, and more united than ever. And as we stepped back into our family home, I couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph. Not just for myself, but for all those who had suffered at Alina's hands. Justice had been served, and the power of love and family had prevailed.